still going and then not even.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Highly Taken Podcast, the only podcast where one of us is wearing a butt plug. I'm David Seekberg, coming back to you again from Tallahassee, Florida.
Christian coming back at you, Elkton, Maryland.
Nick back at you in Jacksonville. I guess we'll never know which one of us has the butt plug.
You will in about 3 seconds here know who has the butt plug.
No. There he is. Dylan coming back at you, plugging in.
What's going to be funny is when Dylan comes in here, has no idea what in the world we're talking about.
Boy, what the hell, boy?
Hey, let's get into it, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, making sure, because mine says not responding right now, so I'm kind of worried. But a lot's happened. I've never been so fully erect than the first time I watched Lola Bunny in Space Jam. So a lot of things happening right now. Let's just get into it. Before we start, I'm going to go with T. Higgins. I know this isn't free agency, but he wants to be...
Yeah.
There we go. Let's go.
He definitely wants to be...
Sorry, I froze.
So what did T. Higgins want?
He wants traded. He said he wants to be traded, yeah. And they just... Which is crazy because it's like $21 point whatever million, 28.8, whatever, however many got $1 million to be franchise tag. But he wants more. So where do you guys potentially see him going?
I could see him going to Buffalo.
Okay.
It's a good one. That means Stefan Diggs might be out.
Davis left.
I'll tell you where I think he's going to be on the move for. Atlanta.
Ooh.
Cousins needs a receiver there. And
what would Atlanta give up?
Not?
The 9 pick?
You know, it's possible. It's possible. But they probably wouldn't give up the 9th pick. I think it would be more of a swap involved there because that's a lot to give up to T. Higgins.
Yeah. I would say a lot. T. Higgins is one of the best.
Can you give me your unbiased opinion here, please? Because T. Higgins is good, but he's not a 9th overall pick good.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying not the overall pick, but I'm saying I could potentially see maybe throwing in Kyle Pitts in a trade to Cincinnati.
That's still a lot.
God, I don't like that. I think that's a big...
Maybe like a 2nd round pick and Kyle Pitts for T. Higgins. I could see something like that.
That's just where I think he's going to go.
Yeah,
that's my personal opinion.
My opinion, though, was because they're getting rid of Mixon was a potential trade with Houston to get one of their 2 running backs there and maybe some picks from him. You know, they have Pierce and Singletary over there in Houston, so I could see them potentially doing that. Now, obviously, we don't see with this free agency market of running backs how it's already been right now, which is still crazy. We don't know where anybody's going to go. But we have some names out there who've already went places, and let's just go with the Eagles one first anyway. Eagles are officially signing Saquon Barkley, former Giants, the 3rd best Barkley in Philadelphia history to ever be on a team. So it's gonna be crazy. What do you guys think about it?
Oh, let me just tell you, I am buying that jersey so I can rub it into all of those Giants fans out there.
Oh, how's your buddy feel about this?
I sent it to him. I sent him just emojis like this. I'm like,
This is the repercussions of overpaying Danny Downs.
That's right. That's exactly it.
They didn't even... Saquon Barkley wasn't even offered a contract by the Giants, so it's...
Because they don't have the money to offer him.
I mean, yeah, but still, it's really no surprise he signed with a division rival. I mean, it's 2 times a year now. You've control of that team for the past 4 years.
Well, the good news is, guys, now we have an emergency quarterback, right?
Oh, true. Dylan, what are your thoughts?
Very true.
Honestly, I think that this is a fantastic move for the Eagles to put Saquon in there. The biggest issue is obviously his injuries that he's had in the past, staying healthy. I mean, it's a big risk, big reward type situation with Philadelphia. I think another thing that can help put the Eagles above this is adding another wide receiver. You have Brown and you have Smith, but a 3rd receiver can really throw together this offense. Saquon is a veteran that can go really well with Kenneth Gainwell. Not only is Saquon a great running back, but he's a good receiving back as well. So with the type of offense that the Eagles run, not Brian Johnson's offense, but a good screen offense with actual blocking. I think Saquon can go for over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I think 1,000 yards is easy, right?
I think
we finally get to see him with an offensive line. I'm curious to see what he can do with a true offensive line, like a line in front of him. You know, this is the first time in his career he has it. So go ahead, David.
Yeah, I truly think we're going to see maybe not this big. I'm truly going to see what we saw with CMC the last 2 years in San Francisco. Somebody who was good, a little injury prone because he was overused. He was used so much on an offense. He had to carry the entire load. Then he goes to a team that he can spread the ball a bit more, better offensive line, and then just dominates. And I feel like that's what the Eagles got right here.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Christian knows about carrying a lot of loads. So what's your take on that?
Good one there. But no, I kind of agree with David. I mean, I feel like we kind of seen it, a little bit with Swift. Swift was an injury prone back before coming to Philly. He missed one game in Philly, and it was a mediocre towards the end of the year game that he didn't need to really play it. So yeah, I think this offensive line that we have and the weapons to have around the team that can fix and definitely help out the injury proneness that Saquon kind of has to him. He's not going to have to be the whole bulk of the carry. He might get only 12 to 13 to 15 carries a game sometime. And that's not a whole bunch of carries compared to the 30 he's getting over in New York. You know what I mean? His body's not going to be going through that. And the guy's 27. So he's right now he's in the middle of what could be possibly his prime. So if we play cards the right way, I agree. I think he could have a Christian McCaffrey-like impact to the team. We just have to, hopefully not have any Brian Johnson offense in the offense.
Tell you who's not in their prime, Christian's phone.
I'm in my prime. I'm 26. No, I'm 25. I'm not in my prime. I take it back. I'm not in my prime.
I don't even know his age.
What's my age again?
I would add on to Christian by saying, with the injuries, you also got to think
2 inches collectively.
Philadelphia's medical staff is one of the best medical staffs in the NFL. He's not going to be. I'm biased, but he's also not going to be playing on that god awful MetLife turf.
Once a year.
Yeah, at least once a year, but still, he's not having to play on it for half the season.
Mm-hmm. So save his ACL.
Yeah.
Hey, but in other news, I feel like there was another signing, was there not? There's something else that happened.
Eagles ended up signing Bryce Huff, going to be the second best Bryce H in Philadelphia history. Mm-hmm. I'm very interested in this one. This one, you guys have a different opinion. I'm still on the fence about this one. We're getting a guy who only got 10.5 sacks last year, 22nd best in the league. And this is going to push out either Sweat or Reddick. More likely Reddick probably, but it's going to push one of those two out. So first of all, what's your thoughts on the signing? Second of all, who do you think is going to end up leaving this year?
I mean, Raiders. All right, Raiders set the bar high, right?
Yeah, with Wilkins. I mean, they set the market high. Well, I mean, you look back at probably Chris Jones, who really started off the jump with his track. But
he deserved it.
I know you're on the fence. Here's the way.
Christian's dead. We killed Christian. Nick, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little overpaid, right? I mean, you're getting a guy that he's young. I mean, he has potential. There's potential there, but I think it was they overpaid a little bit. But with that being said, it looks like they're going to be moving away from Josh Sweat or Reddick, which means you get some value back. You can trade value going into that. So it's kind of like one of those things. To me, it feels more like a wash than it does anything else.
Oh, man.
So here's the question, though. Do you think that this signing could be preparing to clear out cap space with Reddick, and potentially going after somebody else? You got Huff. Maybe you keep Sweat. 2 young guys next to each other. Nolan Smith, another young guy. Maybe they feel like they can get trade value with Hassan Reddick, throw Nolan Smith in there. and possibly go after maybe a higher, a bigger named linebacker, or possibly go after two safeties in free agency. What do you guys think? Do you think that could be a possibility?
Well, first of all, I'm the one asking the questions here. No, but I think that I think we can be looking at potentially what we've been talking about is a potential Reddick for Surtain trade. I think that's what I think is probably on the horizon now. You have Fangio over there. You know, you have Surtain that they, Buffalo. The Broncos are cutting a lot of guys, and I think they could get rid of Surtain here for the right price. A young rusher in Reddick. We keep Sweat, who's young. We keep all those guys young, and we get another corner that can get rid of Bradbury, not Burntberry, Bradbury over there on the other side of the ball.
Possibly get Justin Simmons, reunite teammates, possibly.
Oh yeah, I love the Jazzercise.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
What are you shaking your head for, Nick? What do you got?
I don't know. You died when I was giving my take on the whole thing, so you don't even know what I was saying. So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I think a big trade. I just think a big trade is coming up. A big one. Roseman now has he can get rid of Reddick or Sweat now. So ball's in his court, and Roseman knows what to do. I don't know if he blackmails everyone, if he has dirt on. I'm telling you, Dom's the reason why we're getting these. He's finding dirt, man. He knows how to get it. He knows how to get it, and that's how we're getting these crazy trades.
We saw what happened in the Greenlaw. We saw what happened in the Greenlaw in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. But I guess in other news, we'll go on to other things that have happened. The running back market has been crazy the past day. We talked about Swift. He's going to Chicago. I find that interesting personally because we talk about his injury proneness and a bad offensive line going to a good offensive line. But now he goes to Chicago's offensive line, who is arguably one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. So what's your guys' opinions on his move to Chicago?
Money. That's the biggest thing, money. At the end of the day, the NFL is a business. Each player individually is a businessman, just looking out for themselves. So I think that's the biggest thing is just money. Got a big contract. He deserves it too. So
yeah, I guess that's probably the way to look at it. Probably the team that offered him the most money, more or less. So I don't blame him.
Sorry, I was working. Who got offered what?
DeAndre Swift, 3-year, $24 million, $8 million a year.
That's about right. With the market, you're not really overpaying. They needed a running back there, right? I've heard Fields is staying now. I've heard that he's staying.
It has to look like that way, unless, like you guys talk about in the group chat, the Patriots. But Steelers just got Russ, and then
I don't know.
Now the Vikings. Now the Falcons have Kirk Cousins. So
that's what I'm saying. Quite possibly, Justin Fields goes to a division rival in Minnesota. Minnesota could be looking for a QB.
I just find that very interesting to see if they would go after, let them go to an in-division rival. Especially how young Justin Fields is. To send in there could potentially, you have Justin Jefferson there. That's an amazing weapon. You have Hawkinson there. That's an amazing weapon. I don't know. Running back wise, there's still some guys out there they can get. I could see Aaron Jones signing with the Vikings. He's, just got released. But,
Jordan Addison's over there at the wideout too.
Yeah, that's a good young team. And you add a younger quarterback with that. That would be insane.
That's what I'm saying. Minnesota can get on it.
Yeah, but does Chicago want to play that 2 times a year? That's what they're going to figure.
Chicago could force their hands though and get a first-round pick for Fields.
Yeah,
not worth it.
And that's way over what the asking price should be for Fields.
Not worth it. You just Chicago. Don't be stupid. Just go with it.
I think. Yeah.
Stupid. Use your 2 picks for something good here, and you can do something smart for the first time.
You need to trade out of the 1 spot. You need to trade out of the 1 spot. There's really no other way around it. You're not drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1 overall. You need to trade out of the 1 to about the 2 to the 3. Gather a haul. Draft Marvin Harrison Jr. If if again, I've said it so many times, if you need a QB that bad, no QB in this draft class is miles ahead of anyone. Like, there's no QB that stands out, and you're saying that's the guy. So you're taking a risk on Caleb Williams, the same risk that you're going to take on Drake May, the same risk you're going to take on J.J. McCarthy, the same risk you're going to take on Penix Jr., like, or Jaden Daniels. It's all the same risk. So you're sitting there at the 9 or 10 pick, whatever it is. If you want a QB that bad, take him there. You're going to get the same risk as you would anywhere else, but now you're at least guaranteeing yourself a playmaker in Marvin Harrison.
There shouldn't even be a risk. Fields has shown enough to where he can help. He just doesn't have the line.
The only issue here is it's going to be really hard to sell moving back 1 or 2 spots to grab the same guy, because if they don't think you're going to be getting a quarterback, then what's the point of trading down 1 or 2 picks to try to get a quarterback from a team who you think's not even going to draft a quarterback anyway?
So then that's why you look straight to New England, because Washington has the connection already between their offensive coordinator and Caleb Williams. So they're sitting at the 2 pick. You're going to look straight to New England, who's at the 3 pick. So you're saying, okay, boom, you're going to force Washington to sit with Drake May, and you're going to be able to still take Marvin Harrison Jr. New England's more than likely your 100% trade target.
And that one I would agree that it has to be. I just, I've been talking about it. Maybe this would change if they would get the 1 spot. I just think that New England doesn't get May, but I think they end up getting Daniels. But with that being said, I feel that would be the only way for Fields to move, is if they traded there. So what's wrong, Harper? Sorry, if they traded there. It's going to get messy. And so now we have the potential spots, the top 2 of the spots that we thought Fields was going to go. Now we have all these options that is he going to go? Is he going to stay? What's happening with the draft and who's going to get traded there? But to continue with all the running backs we had, I mentioned earlier, Josh Jacobs now is a Packer, which is huge, I feel like, for that young Packers team.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely brings in a big bruising back. My thing is, I don't know how big of an upgrade it really is between Aaron Jones. Now, Josh Jacobs, I believe he only had 1 year where he was really injured. Outside of that, I know Aaron Jones has been more injury prone, but it just doesn't. I mean, Josh Jacobs is more of a power back, more of a downhill runner. Aaron Jones was kind of more of a do-it-all back. He could do it out of the backfield and the receiver. It was only 2 years ago where this guy was the next best thing to Christian McCaffrey, right? Like, he was an elite back. I'm not entirely sure that it's an upgrade. I wouldn't call it a downgrade, though. But yeah, I mean, it brings in another veteran presence. It brings in a guy that, can do what you need him to do. He can run the football, and he can do it at a highly effective rate. So it's a good signing, a decent price tag on it as well. Nothing crazy. So it's not a bad pickup at all.
It was a lateral move, right? That's exactly what it was. You're right, Christian. Yep. Lateral move. Didn't hurt. Doesn't help. You're just looking at getting another running back that has a veteran presence. Just a straight lateral move for him. But, I mean, to go back on what we're saying here, if the Bears want Marvin Harrison, they're going to have to at least have that number 3 pick, because Arizona is drafting Marvin Harrison if he's there. He's going to Arizona because they've already stressed Kyler Murray somehow is their quarterback, so they're going to get a wide receiver for him.
I mean, truthfully, and this is a hot take, Murray did not look bad at the end of last season. That Cardinals team did not look bad all year, but Murray did not look that bad at the end of the season. And you have some really young guys on that Cardinals team. You have McBride out there. I mean, you have James Conner at running backs who's doing really good. You add Marvin Harrison. I guess Nick didn't like what I was talking about. Sorry, Nick. He has seen. I'm pretty sure I had to say. But no, I mean, you have a potential to get Marvin Harrison, but also, if you don't get Harrison and you're left with Neighbors from LSU, that is not a bad drop down. I mean, maybe it's not the best, but it's not that far of a drop down from Marvin Harrison Jr. to Neighbors. So, like, Cardinals right now are in a good position to get one of the top 2 wide receivers with the young team, and then figure out what they really want to do over there with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. Yeah, you can't go wrong getting Malik Neighbors either. I agree. He's going to be a guy that's going to also be. He's just going to be a great player. He's going to have an impact coming right off the board. I 100% agree with that. And even if he goes to the Cardinals, I mean, it's another thing. It's going to be a great impact. I don't know, man. I don't know how it's all going to play out. I feel like the whole draft. It's crazy because the whole draft kind of sits around Washington right now, where at least the whole top 10 picks and the domino effect that's going to entail with it. Because, okay, if Washington stays at the 1 and they draft Caleb Williams,
that kind of starts the quarterback domino effect right off the bat, right? Now it's like, oh shit, quarterbacks are going. We need to produce trades. We need to get up into the top of the draft because they're going to all come to fall now. If Chicago says, you know what, dude, we're out of it. We're going to the 3 spot. Well, now you know at 3, there's going to be a break in the draft. You know that there's not going to be a quarterback anymore. So the whole draft is going to all really sit around right now in the top 10 on Chicago. And I think that's kind of crazy to me. Like, they're going to dictate how this draft is going to go. Is it going to be QB heavy right off the top? Is there going to be breaks in the draft? And now we're going to see guys like Jaden Daniels. Is he going to fall all the way down to a 6-7 pick to the Giants, right? Is he JJ McCarthy? Is he going to slip up and he's going to be a top 10 pick because QBs are going so early? Like, we don't know. And I'm just very interested to see. Chicago's been the team I've wanted to see how they play all season long. So far, they started off, they got a running back. I think they've upgraded at the running back position getting Swift. But again, Swift's a guy that we know he can't stay healthy if you don't have a line to keep him healthy. Or you don't have, the workload for him to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. So is it a great addition? It can be, but there's so many other pieces that have to go with it. And so we're going to see how that keeps rolling.
Well, like you look at running back pickups, like one huge example I think of, Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell behind that Pittsburgh Steelers defense offensive line was the best running back in football, no questions about it. And then you see what happened when he went to the Jets behind absolutely no offensive line whatsoever. And no matter how good you are, if you have zero protection, zero blocking, you're not going to perform. And you saw that with Le'Veon Bell, where he went from best back in the league to nobody wanted him, all because there was no offensive line.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how his career kind of fares over there. Honestly, I don't know how it's going to play out for him. But again, one way or another, I think seriously an upgrade at the position for Chicago. But what else we got, David?
Yeah, I mean, we still have some. I mean, there's any free agents we want to talk about. Obviously, we talked about the defensive tackle market now kind of being set. You have Jones out there, but today Wilkins, he got a $110 million contract with the Raiders. And I mean, I feel that's an overpay. I think that Raiders are just desperate to have some talent on that team, and they decided that Wilkins was the guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. We were talking about it earlier in the group chat, you and I. It really does feel like a huge overpay, right? Like, because this is not a guy that when you say best defensive tackles in the league, this isn't a guy that comes to mind. This isn't a guy who I don't look at and go, oh man, Christian Wilkins, like that's a top 5 guy. It's a top 10 guy. He's not, right? He has the potential maybe to be, but I don't know, man. This guy was a 13th overall pick out of Clemson. He had huge hopes coming in for him 4 years ago, and he just hasn't played up to the standard that, they've been looking for. $110 million, man. Like, that's top defensive player money. And that's not what he is. I can sit here and write it off to you 25 more defenders that are better than him, like in total at defense. So I don't know. I think that's an overpay, but at the same time, yeah, you're going to have it. Every offseason you have it. Every offseason you have a guy who's going to get overpaid because he's the best player of that position on the market. And that appears to be it. Christian Wilkins was the best DT left on the market, so someone paid him.
Yeah,
Nick and Dylan, you guys are real like baby. Woo!
I was just waiting for somebody, but yeah, I mean, it's
overpaid.
I think that's.
I'd give you a kiss if I was next to you, but I'm not. So.
I don't know how that happened. That's crazy. Anyway, so I guess who do we have left on the market now? I mean, not left on the market. Is there anyone else got signed
Derrick
today?
Henry.
I mean, Derrick Henry's left the market. I mean, I'm trying to think about people who got signed today. Tony Pollard. There you go. The least back that no one really cared about that got hired. The got signed today. He got signed to the Titans. I feel like that's such a not even lateral move. I feel like you're obviously taking a step back from Henry to Pollard, but like, what's Pollard doing? He's signing a 1-year deal to go over there and play with the Titans of all teams. Was he that much? Was one out of Dallas?
I like that. Give him that 1-year contract. Go prove yourself. Prove you didn't have a one-hit wonder of a year
with the Cowboys and then play garbage last year. Give yourself this is literally proving that you're good. This is definitely. I think it's smart to sign the 1-year deal.
But my thing was, I was just saying, does this just mean that Tony Pollard, like, the Dallas tell Pollard, hey, you're not coming back? Like, was that what was happening? Like, what's?
I wouldn't surprise
they wanted
me.
Saquon. They already did. They were trying to get Saquon to go there, and thank goodness Saquon knows as an ex-Giants player, Cowboys suck. Who wants to play for those people? I mean, come on now. He was smart not to go there.
A top 5 team in the NFL last year, probably.
I agree though. I'm kind of with Nick. I'm on the same page there. I think it's kind of more of a I'm betting on myself move. The Titans are a young team, not a team really expected to do a whole bunch of stuff coming up this season. And I think that's really it, right? They're gonna run the ball a decent bit. Pollard's gonna have the ball in his hands a good amount of times. And yeah, he's on a 1-year deal, so he's not tied into here. 1 year, $8 million deal. He's getting the same amount of money that Swift's going to get on annual over in Chicago. So he's going to get the average running back money. And yeah, it's a proven deal. We saw how, Derrick Henry, granted, that's a physical specimen. That's a completely different player. But he's going to go and he's going to get himself $12 million a year on an annual contract, right? Maybe that's what Pollard's looking to do. Maybe he's saying, look, I can go over into Tennessee, play over there for a year, bet on myself. I'm going to produce, and I'll go be able to get a $12 million contract next year.
That's a really good point. I like it. I completely agree. Gives a guy 1-year deal. Doesn't have to stay with the team if he doesn't want to, but with that 1-year deal, like you said, Christian, maybe he's just looking to impress other teams to the point where they're like, all right, let's sign a multi-year deal and worth a lot more money. But also, it doesn't surprise me if Jerry Jones was just straight up like, we just want Saquon. We don't want you. Because you look at, they asked Jerry Jones about Dak Prescott, and Jerry Jones was open and said, hey, we don't need to re-sign him. We don't need to re-sign him yet. So when you're looking at an ownership with an organization like that, that could also get players to not want to go there because you have an owner who seems like he doesn't really care for the players.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. Schultz came out and said they treat him like a zoo. It feels like a zoo over there, and that's how they're acting. That's how Jerry Jones has made it very clear. That's how it's acting. Once I don't want you, you're gone. We don't need you, And that's what they did. And they thought they were getting Barkley because you know how the Cowboys are. Oh, we them boys. We're so good. Everybody wants to play for them, right? No, everybody hates you. They hate you. No wonder you didn't get Barkley. And now, guess what? You got to see him twice a year again.
But the only thing to that, though, is, Derrick Henry's still on the market. And Dallas is definitely still a potential spot to see Derrick Henry go to.
Why do you got to say that, man? Why you got to say that?
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I feel like you guys are saying, Dallas really wanted Saquon. I don't think Dallas is in on Saquon as hard as they are in on Henry. I think Henry is the guy that they kind of want to go there because of all the chatter that was around Saquon. The two top odds for Saquon to go was Philadelphia and Houston. I feel like they kind of knew, okay, look, we might not be in on the Saquon sweepstakes. What have you heard about Derrick Henry? You haven't heard anything. You haven't heard where he might be possibly going. I think that's who they were looking at. I think that might be their guy. I think it's going to be.
Better not. Don't you dare speak that into existence.
Let me give you a prediction. Here's what I think is going to happen. You ready for this? I think Eckler goes to Dallas.
Ooh, I forgot Eckler's out there.
I think
he can go screw off too.
I think Eckler goes to Dallas. I think
Nick would have to see him. Nick would have to see him 2 times a year, and then that would be the only 2 games he goes off.
Yeah. I think Austin Eckler goes to Dallas. I could see Joe Mixon going to Houston. And don't be surprised if you see Derrick Henry go to LA, play for the Chargers. I could see that happening as well.
I think the Chargers are going to draft Corum.
Yeah, Corum, he's him. You also have what's his face? Trey Benson. I forgot that. What a fake fan. You also have Trey Benson who's out there too. But also,
Freddie
I mean,
Benson.
yeah, Freddie. Or no, just Benson, Dylan. You're fired.
That's
But
your best.
Say your mom, you're fired.
You better trap me or you're fired. Yeah, but no, it's. I just wonder now. That makes me wonder if the Bengals are going to get a running back, and they need one. They signed Williams for like a 1-year deal. Do they get Aaron Jones? Is that the team that Aaron Jones goes to? I don't know. There's a lot of decent running backs out there that are still left. Eckler, Henry, Mixon, Jones, and you can throw in a good running back draft class that you could have. So I'm kind of wondering where these guys are going to go.
Texans
Could we
just signed former number 3 overall pick Jeff Okudah, cornerback.
Oh, the Ohio State, Jeff Okudah.
Could you see?
The Ohio State Texans are at it again.
Could you see possibly Derrick Henry going to Jacksonville? I know that.
No,
They have
ETN.
Etienne.
Well, hear me- I know they have ETN, but hear me out.
Did you just call him
Hear me out. Derrick Henry from Yulee. Possibly Jaguars need a power back. They may not be re-signing Calvin Ridley, so you're looking at money there. So
Derrick
could that
Henry
happen?
from Yulee?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He went to Yulee.
Interesting. Right down the road.
Dude, I don't think Derrick Henry's looking to go anywhere to split carries. I think Derrick Henry's going somewhere to look to be the main back on a multiple-year contract.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Dylan thinks Eckler's going to Dallas. You think Mixon's going where, Dylan? You had Mixon going Houston? That's interesting. And just that, if Houston goes and signs a running back, that is a loaded running back room. No matter what, they'd have to go trade or somehow get rid of one of the two backs. Because Pierce is good, and so is Singletary. They're the two really decent backs they had there, and adding another one just seems crazy to me.
Well,
Yeah.
I could see
don't think
them
they do
possibly trading away Singletary for a 2nd or 3rd round pick.
Well, that's why I said maybe the Bengals sign trading T. Higgins.
Dylan, I don't know if you realize we're in 2024. You're not getting a 2nd or 3rd round pick for a running back.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Unless you have McBarkley coming your way. A person like
Yeah,
that.
right. If you have a big name like
Matt
that, Matt. Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're talking to a guy like Singletary, man, you might get a 4th or a 5th if you can, figure out a way to navigate. You do Singletary and a different pick, you might be able to get a 3rd, but you're not getting a 2nd, no shot.
Singletary for a 3rd? Nah, dude, that's a 4th rounder.
Singletary and a 4th. Singletary and a 4th for a 3rd.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
you could do that. Yeah,
I'm thinking with my Madden brain where I'm like, dude, you guys need a running back. You have freaking Rex Burkhead as your running back, and it shows a great interest. Why you're not taken by trade?
I guess we've been focused on the offensive side of the ball for a while. Let's go back to the defensive. A lot of sages are still out there right now. Obviously, none of them is signed yet. So where do we see potentials for these guys here? I mean, you have CJ still out there. I hate saying that. I feel like I'm saying it wrong. You think he goes Eagles? You have McKinney. That's who I think is the Eagles are going to get McKinney. Justin Simmons is still out there. You have, again, a lot are out there.
We're getting all of them. Philly's just taking them all.
We're going to convert some to corner.
All of them. Better than Bradbury.
You realize CJ played corner before, and the Eagles moved him to safety.
Breaking news: Antonio Gibson to the Patriots.
Okay, thank you for the nothing burger. That's actually maybe not a nothing burger. So that's the Commanders' old running back. Obviously, Robinson Jr. was the main back there, but that does leave for a possibility of the Commanders going and grabbing somebody else at running back. Maybe even drafting a running back. They're not going QB, guys.
With the second
overall pick.
They'll trade back.
Impressive.
It's looking like Kevin Costner in draft day. Just draft
trade all the picks and then get them back. We want the punter. We want the punter.
I mean, they're going quarterback, right? I mean, that's without question.
Unless they think Sam Howell is a good enough quarterback.
Guys, back to the defensive side of the ball. Come on.
On what?
But yeah, I think honestly, you look at teams that are in need of safety help. One team that I think we're kind of forgetting about, uh, Detroit had CJGJ. Could you possibly see any of these safeties going to Detroit?
I think the
Quandre
biggest
Diggs.
Yeah, I think the biggest one. Yeah, I think the biggest ones you can see people that are going to get safety. The Eagles are going to get their safety. The Bills are going to get a safety. Lions will get a safety. And then I said the Bengals, right? I don't remember who said, but those. I mean, you can. Those are teams who really need to get safety help. Obviously, the Bengals lost Jesse Bates to the Falcons because of money, and he balled out with the Falcons last year. So I mean, you have some teams that really do need to get that safety spot well honed. Unfortunately, the Giants won't be in that sweepstakes just because of how much money they're allocating to other people. So it's going to be interesting to see where all these people end up going.
What do you
I'm
mean by
telling
other
you,
people? You
the
mean
Eagles will be
Daniel
getting
Jones?
two of them.
Sorry, one person. You think the Eagles are going to get two of the top safeties in the free agency?
Hey, I agree
I
with
don't
him.
see it.
CJ and Justin Simmons.
But here's the thing: if they don't, you have Reddick and Sweat as a trade opportunity.
We have
to get one of them,
Blankenship.
to get another one after. And I like Blankenship, but if you can get one of those, why wouldn't you go after him?
It's not
Listen,
the why
and
wouldn't you? It's why force the money over there when you don't necessarily need to
Yeah.
get two of them. When you can give it
See,
somewhere else.
In all honesty,
We still,
I've
keeping this in mind, sorry, Dylan, to cut you off, but we still need to
No, you're
re-sign
good.
Smitty and Goddard.
Yeah. Not to mention we need linebacker help.
Patrick Queen.
And
Yeah, it's gonna
I would
that's
love
the
to
other
see
thing.
Patrick Queen. He only has to drop left off to come to Philly.
The other thing to think about,
Saying.
draft coming up, Eagles, if we don't trade for Sertan, Eagles will probably go after a corner in the draft as well.
Yeah, they will. They'll go get the white boy himself, Mr. Whiteout, Cooper DeJean. Dude just
From
covering
Des-
everybody.
From Des Moines, Iowa.
boys. I got
That'd be
you
nice
ready
to
to
see.
walk off here, just so y'all know.
Hey, me too.
That's great.
I
We have
shall.
less than a minute. Yeah, now we're 2 down. So
Yeah. We sacked those responsible for sacking those who have been sacked.
I wonder if I'll put that title card in there. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and I just don't know where anybody is truthfully gonna go. I know you. Do you like I feel like the Bengals is one team we can talk about. I know Dad's a Bengals fan. What do you see them doing? They need a running back. There's a huge running back market. They need a safety. There's a huge safety market. And obviously T. Higgins once gone. So like, what are the Bengals gonna do?
So I honestly think that the Bengals, I could potentially see in them, like I could potentially see them. Joe Mixon wanted gone. Maybe they re-sign Joe Mixon, right? Maybe with T. Higgins leaving, they'll have enough money they can re-sign Joe Mixon to where they can possibly just go out, draft a receiver to replace him. But the other thing you have to realize is the Bengals aren't just losing Higgins, but they're also losing Tyler Boyd, which
Right.
makes you think maybe since Higgins went out as well, maybe they'll go after Tyler Boyd, try and get him back. But it's hard. Cincinnati, they had that really good run to the Super Bowl. Probably could have last year, not this past year, but the year before. Potentially should have made it to back-to-back Super Bowls if it weren't for questionable calls. But you look at that team, and honestly, it's hard. Right now, I think that they're going to need to rebuild, which means that maybe they're a low-end playoff team with Burrow if he could stay healthy. But I don't know. Cincinnati's looking like they're fixing to go into a rebuild.
I just know they have a decent amount of cap space left, and especially since they also just boosted how much cap people can get. It would be surprising for me if they let a decent running back, but probably a top 10 running back that is Joe Mixon go, and then don't sign another running back or don't go out and get a decent safety after losing Bates last year. And like you mentioned it, I mean, this team has been riddled with injuries for the past 3 or 4 years. And Joe Burrow's been injured. Jamar Chase has been injured. T. Higgins has also been injured. So you're going to wonder how people are going to deal with Higgins. I think he missed like 6 games last year as well. And so now you're going to have to get a guy who, when you trade for him, he's under a franchise tag. When you trade for him, he's going to have to get signed to another contract soon after that. And you're going to have to give up some stuff for the Bengals to get rid of him, which is interesting. You know, the Bengals are kind of in a, I wouldn't say a win-win situation, but in a situation to where, yeah, you get rid of T. Higgins, but that's a lot of money that you don't have to pay anymore that needs to go to Jamar Chase, who's in the last year of his rookie deal this year. And so he needs to get paid too. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they have Joe Burrow. It's just, it sucks for them because they don't have that offensive line solidified yet. It's still not a good offensive line. I mean, you still have Jamar Chase, you still have Burrow. You need to find yourself a running back because Williams isn't going to do it. The guy they re-signed today. Mm-hmm. I mean, even if you go, maybe Eckler, I don't know how much money he'd be worth to get. Aaron Jones, how much money he would be worth to get. They're not getting paid, $10 to $12 million, but neither is Mixon. So you wonder where are the Bengals willing to spend here? Now, possibly you can see them going in the draft somewhere. Now they have a middle pick. If they want another receiver, Lad McConkey out of Georgia, not a bad guy to get. Now he's kind of, like, was it Trenton Irwin, whatever his name is? The guy, the white dude, the long hair in the Bengals have is not a bad receiver to replace Boyd. It is now, what you just said, you're replacing. The Bengals probably arguably had a top 3 receiving core in the NFL, top 5 receiving core in the NFL down there with those 3 guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Burrow needs help. I mean, he signed a huge deal. He's the franchise quarterback. He's probably going to be there his entire career. So that's going to be interesting. They also, again, like I said, they need to solidify that defensive side of the ball. I mean, you're in a division that's arguably, maybe not even arguably, that is the best division in the NFL
defensively.
Yeah, I mean, you had 3 teams that made it to the Super Bowl Three teams that made the Super Bowl. Wow, they made it to the playoffs last year. The Bengals just missed. They had a winning record. It's the first time since like the 40s that every single person in the division had a winning record. So it's going to be interesting to see not only what the division does, but what the Bengals do too. And they just need to make sure they can keep up because those other teams are playing well. It's going to be interesting to see what the Browns do because, offensive wise, they either have Deshaun, you have Flacco. Don't see what they're going to do there. But I'm just interested to see where all these pieces are going to fall into place.
Well, the sad thing with Cincinnati is defensively, you're looking at a team who's practically just like the 2010s Philadelphia teams, where you have this fantastic defensive line that gets to the quarterback, but you have a secondary that allows big plays, allows too many receptions, and it winds up your defensive line is going to get tired. They can't continuously get to the quarterback the whole entire game. So you need to rely on your secondary to be able to pick up that slack. And unfortunately, with Cincinnati, they don't have a great secondary.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing about Cincinnati is, you look at their front 7. They have a good defensive line. You have Reeder. You have Hendrickson. You have Hubbard's out there. I mean, Logan Wilson, a great linebacker. They have their other linebacker. I forget his name, but he's also a really good linebacker too. Their second guy. But you can go in the corners, you go in the safeties. You don't have your Jesse Bates back there. I'm not sure if Von Bell's still there or not. I'm not sure. I mean, guys that you need back there that competes, and you just don't have those. And luckily, you get away with it a little bit when you're inside the division that is the AFC, the AFC North, that doesn't have that many good offensive weapons on wide receiver. But you kind of get burnt when you go into the playoffs and have to play those kind of teams. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I hope they make a push for somebody. They need to spend money. No, historically speaking, Mike Brown has not been the one to spend money on players. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see if they kind of flip their identity doing that. I guess we can go in. I guess we can talk about this a little bit. NCAA football, it just announced that the award names, the Blitnikoff and the Maxwell, they will not be in the game because it's like the company who owns those rights decided to opt out for that for some reason.
Yeah.
And is that going to be a big miss?
No, I honestly don't. Of course, I think the biggest thing, they're not going to care about the Maxwell Award and stuff like that. Road to Glory, like nobody's going to care about that. All they really care about is the gameplay and being able to play the game that they fell in love with. Keep in mind, the last time this game came out was 2013. which I think 10 or 11 years old when this game came out. It's been over a decade
Hmm.
since this game has come out, and a lot of people that are going to get it are people who are hoping that it's going to be a fun game like they used to have, being able to take a team like Rice and build them up to a national championship caliber team. And the thing I'm hoping and looking forward to as well is the college football playoffs and how that's going to be uh, incorporated into it, and seeing like all these teams. I feel it's over 100 teams you can play as, which is ridiculously good, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, the awards were cool, but everybody really just wants to go for the Heisman, and
Yeah.
that's all they care about. But no, I don't think it's a huge miss.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and at least the Heisman's still in there. It'd be really weird if we had an NCAA football game the Heisman was not in there. But I mean, what's the difference between like the Maxwell Award, which is just the best QB? Why is that
Yeah,
gonna stop you from being like, oh yeah, that's the best QB? Um, I think it's funny right now is hearing the fact that Arch Manning said that he is declining being in the game because he wants to focus on being on the field, not in real life and not in the game, which is kind of funny because he doesn't actually play in real life. Even
yeah,
when
because when Ewers is there,
Ewers is there, and even when Ewers was injured, they didn't start. They didn't start him. They started the other guy. So I
he's
feel
got he's got to work on his playing. But uh, speaking of Heisman, I know I'm not the leader of the podcast, but what are your thoughts on Johnny Manziel saying that he is not going to be at the Heisman until Reggie Bush gets reinstated?
first of all, that was just a joke. Anybody can talk. I want to be asked questions too. I was just messing around with you, but no, it's interesting because Johnny Manziel, not the biggest moral guy. Obviously, we saw what he did when he was in the NFL, but
And
I
admitted
think
to the college stuff too.
yeah, yeah, and the college stuff as well. But on the same side, I agree with him.
Yeah,
Reggie Bush deserves that Heisman back. I mean, obviously, what he did wasn't really. I mean, it was his fault, but he wasn't the one who gave him the stuff, right? USC is the one
yeah,
who gave him all that stuff. Um, I mean, you're gonna blame a kid. That team was like, "Hey, we'll give you a car," and you're gonna blame an 18-year-old to be like, "No, I don't want a car." Like, obviously, you're gonna take the car
yeah.
they're gonna give you. He was the best player
Especially,
in college football without a doubt. So like even like sure like maybe him the team did something that's more on the team than it is him for offering to do that in the
yeah,
first place. I think it's unfortunate. I mean, you see sometimes where people just get absolutely screwed by teams, by coaches because of stuff like this. Obviously, you have Maurice Claret, Ohio State running back, same kind of thing. But now, I mean, I think Reggie Bush deserves his Heisman back. And, if Johnny Manziel takes a stand, I'm glad. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, unfortunately. Not unless a lot of
yeah,
people start doing this. I don't really see a world where they give him his trophy back, more or less just to prove a point.
yeah. The Heisman house is going to be a little bit more empty.
Yeah,
But
less white.
here's the other thing, right? You look at the Heisman. What's the Heisman all about? It's all about your play level and how well you did that year. It's not a moral award.
Mhm.
And the fact that because like the rules that the NCAA had was no making money from their likeness, stuff like that. And honestly, it doesn't affect how you play. Being given a car isn't going to instantly make you run faster or give you skills to play the game at a high level. It's not like Lil Bow Wow's shoes that he found on the power line. It's it is stuff that any college age kid would need, a necessity to have, and they would want money, food, stuff like that. It could be scarce in college, and I hate the whole argument that, oh well, they're student athletes, they shouldn't be getting all this money. Well, here's the thing: you sell their likeness every single Saturday
Mhm.
for money. You're advertising them, and you're gonna you're gonna get onto them for being given money for their likeness. I hate
Yeah.
the rule.
And yeah, and I exactly agree with that with you. I mean, I remember going back, back in the day, we ourselves, you had a number 33 red Ohio State jersey, didn't have a
Yep.
name on the back, but everybody knew that was James Laurinaitis. So it's
Yep.
not like it's just the fact that they were selling their likenesses without giving them the credit for it. They would just take their name off of it. And they're like, no, that's just an Ohio State red number 33. What do you mean? Like, that's no one. That's
Yeah.
no name on there. And yeah, like these guys deserve to be getting paid. I'm glad I can go into a Florida State bookstore. I'm glad I could find a Travis jersey last year, a Benson jersey last year. Names
Hmm.
of guys who I've seen play their butts off for these major universities who make millions of dollars, may I add. I mean,
Yeah.
you have Florida State who is willing to buy out like a $70 million contract just like that from Willie Taggart several years back. So they have the money for it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they get paid now, as deservedly so. And this kind of helped us get into where we are now with NCAA football and the video game.
Yeah.
But also, just the only thing now I think is they need to iron out all the NIL stuff, all the money stuff, how they give kids money, who gets it, because it is getting a little crazy how a lot of people will go 1 year to a team, get $1 million and leave, not really
Yeah.
play that much, and it's become really a little bit of free agency. So it's interesting. They'll have to work that out a little bit. But yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, it's not a moral award. It's what you did on the field and how well you did it. And Reggie Bush arguably is one of the best running backs that ever played college football. So
Oh yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Again, unfortunately, a lot of the guys who are on these committees are older guys. You see the same thing with the Hall of Fame ballots where they, for some reason, want to put their moral high grounds on these awards. Why guys like Pete Rose aren't in the Hall,
Yeah.
why guys like Roger Clemens isn't in the Hall. And so it's going to be,
Shoeless Joe.
yeah, they don't, for some reason, they don't want to turn back on it. They're on this moral high ground that they don't really need to be, and which is unfortunate for the game and unfortunate for the players, but that's just where we are. And hopefully at
Yeah.
some point it changes. Maybe it will soon. But I just don't think Johnny Manziel being like, "Yo, I'm going to sit out" is going to be like, okay, like whatever. We have everybody else here. Yeah, but I know baseball starts soon. We have some spring training games going on, but all the biggest thing is we talk about it every single episode. We're going to keep talking about it until it happens. I mean, Blake Snell still hasn't found a team yet, which I still find crazy.
Yeah. Nor Bauer.
Yeah, Bauer. And the big thing with Bauer is I'm not, again, I don't like getting to the Bauer conversation because I don't like talk about political stuff. I mean, he was found innocent. So it's just, the gray area there, find it where you will. A lot of people still just don't want that on the team. And, I can understand that from a business aspect to be like, don't put that kind of thing on the team. What happened here? But also, like, you're ruining a guy who was a Cy Young winner about 3 or 4 years ago for a false allegation. I mean, he can
Yeah.
still pitch and play good baseball, especially for teams who need it. And so I'm really going to wonder which team bites the bullet if they end up biting the bullet. But I just feel like if that team came out and did it, they would 100% be okay. I just don't think it would be that big of a detriment to baseball or the team's organization if they went out and got him.
Well, here's the thing though, like when a player like Bauer's caliber is free to get, like nobody is going after him. I feel like some team should be like, okay, I get the publicity, but one, he has been found innocent, and two, he is a great player that can add value to our team. Not to mention, you could probably get him for a lot cheaper than normal because of it. But it's all about taking a chance on a guy who's still in his prime and can still play well. You look back at Philadelphia with Michael Vick when no team wanted to sign him. They got him as a backup, but once Kevin Cobb got injured, yeah, that's right. Kevin Cobb was a quarterback in the NFL. Once he got injured and Michael Vick took over, you could see the flashes of why he was a first round pick for the Falcons and why he was held at such a high regard for his play level. You sometimes just gotta, like you said, bite the bullet, take a shot to the balls, and take those balls, go to the wall, and pick up a guy like that, no matter what fans say. Because honestly, even if they're like, "Oh, we're not gonna go to the games," well, here's the thing: if you get a guy at that level and say like I'm biased, I'm just going to use Philadelphia for example. You put a guy like that, yeah, people are going to be iffy on it, but if they start playing well, then the fans are going to back him up. Look at Bryce Harper. There were people who did not want Bryce Harper to go to Philly because they did not think that he would be a high level player because all he would do is hit home runs or strike out. I remember you were one of those people, David.
I
You
was.
said that. And I remember saying, I don't know, like sometimes whenever you join a different team and you have actual people around you, then you can start like not having to think, oh, I need to hit this home run. And he starts he started playing team ball, but like I said, people that were hating on him now they view him as like the golden boy of Philadelphia.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, right now he's like up there, probably a top 10 Philly athlete of all time right now, just for what he's done to the city. Now, obviously, they haven't won anything yet. And when they do, I mean, if they not when they do, if they ever win a World Series with Bryce Harper, I mean, you can argue that he is the best Philly athlete of all time at that point.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like I said, you gotta take a chance. And I mean, with Bauer, it's a little bit interesting. With Snell, it's more interesting because obviously he's a good pitcher. He's been playing well the past several seasons. And at this point, is he just over marketing himself? Does he want too much money? Does he want? What is stopping somebody from signing Snell, or is it just Snell himself declining deals?
I think I could see it being Snell himself thinking like, I'm a high caliber player and maybe he thinks like the money he's offered isn't worth his time. And you look at some of the deals like Otani's deal. You're looking at all these huge deals and maybe Snell's wanting a piece of that. Maybe he wants to get a long-term deal for a lot of money, but teams aren't willing to give him that long of a deal.
Mm. I think that could be what you're saying. I think he wants years, and I don't think teams are willing to pay for those years. So that's gonna be interesting there too. I mean,
I'm sure LA will somehow find money.
right? Yeah, they'll defer his contract to like 2075, and they'll start paying him then when he's like 80 years old, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have nothing much else to talk about. Do you have anything you want to bring up?
Uh, I'll say one person that has surprised me. I know it's spring training is Juan Soto. Juan Soto has been having a fantastic spring training. I think he leads in home runs. Uh, I think he has like 10 home runs or something like that in spring training already, which is crazy.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's been tearing it up.
Yeah, Juan Soto. I mean, you gotta wonder. He's moving to a lineup that already has the guys like Rizzo, Stanton, and Judge. You gotta have to pick your poison there. Who you're gonna pitch around.
Hmm.
You're gonna wonder if he has a career year this year. I mean, so today he didn't do too well. He was 0 for 3 with 2 Ks, but he went up against Wheeler in the Phillies today.
Yeah.
So it's he. I mean,
A
he's been back.
newly contracted Wheeler at that. So
Yeah,
dude's over the world. So
yeah.
he's gonna be playing with fire.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm be interested to see how Juan Soto does over there. And like I said, I guess we'll be looking now. Baseball season starts soon. I'm gonna hope to talk about more baseball. If we get the guys more
Yeah.
on this podcast more, I want to break down, my top position players who I think is gonna have good years and be able to talk about it a little bit more with the guys. But if you don't have anything else, that's all I have for today. So you all enjoy your week. You enjoy your week, Dylan. Go to work. You go work out. Are you going to work now?
Yeah, I'm going to work and then I play flag football later tonight. So
Well, ball out, put up 4 touchdowns,
dude,
450 yards.
check
Don't
these
hurt your
things out.
shoulder. Oh, you got the Spider-Man gloves. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Real quick while I have you on here, do you have any want to do certified baller or deflated baller before we go? Do you want to wait till the weekend to do that?
I'll go ahead and name two.
Okay.
I think certified baller, once again, Juan Soto. Juan Soto has been playing fantastic, so I think he deserves certified baller from me. I forget how many RBIs, but I saw people saying that he's overrated, which like I could see that from performances the past couple years. But hey, like you said, he could possibly have a career year. He doesn't play for the Nationals anymore, so I don't hate him as much. Uh,
He's at the Yankees though. So
yeah. What about you?
Oh, certified baller. Oh man, it's gonna be tough. But I'll go with Howie Roseman. And we don't know what else he's gonna do, but he's been doing a good job right now, and I feel like he's just gonna do more as the free agency goes on. I'm gonna be interested to see what happens after post June 1st cuts. After that happens, after the rosters come out. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to go till then. We have a lot of trades that could happen, a lot of signs that could happen. I mean, the draft's still,
Yeah.
6 weeks away. So we still have a good amount of time for that kind of stuff. But, right now he's doing a good job. Saquon, what a great pickup. I'm interested in Huff, not 100% sold on him. And Eagles just extended Landon Dickerson. So that's
4 years, right?
Yeah, 4 years. We have a 2-time Pro Bowler there. So he's one of the best guards in the league. And then do you have any deflated ballers?
Give me DiVincenzo with the Knicks.
Tackle,
Going after Kelly Oubre. The swat, he was going for the ball, hit him, but the fact that it wasn't an intentional thing, and when a guy goes down to help you, the fact that he decided to grab his leg and tuck it in, try to grab both to tackle him, and then when you try to drag him, he lost his balance and his knee hit you. You decide to grab his ankle and start spinning around like an alligator.
Right.
It's a bad look, especially from the guy who had his tweet leaked that he liked getting his salad tossed. But
I haven't seen somebody go after Kelly Oubre that hard since Dwight Howard. So that was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, it was very dirty. Like you say, I think you said it perfectly well. I mean, he did like the whole alligator roll on his legs, and that's going to hurt a guy, especially a team like Philadelphia who's missing a lot of players right now due to injury anyway.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go deflated baller, I'm going to go with LSU and South Carolina women's team. A large scuffle there, big kerfuffle. Yeah, and it was just kind of garbage. Like there was really no reason for it to happen. And then like the coaches afterward, polar opposites. South Carolina coach say, that's awful. What we did was awful. We shouldn't do that. That's bad for the game of basketball. Then LSU coach comes out and just like, well, next time you go after a 6'8" person, huh? And how about we see what no, you're not supposed to really be condoning what happened. Like make sure you know that's not okay.
She said that she'd like to see her try and push Angel Reese around, which she did the whole game.
Yeah. She
did it in game, got her out of the paint.
So it's I mean, I don't know why. It's kind of bad. I just don't understand why a coach would be like, you should try with Angel Reese, and you just lost to that team. So obviously, Angel Reese didn't play that enough to help you out there. So now we have basketball coming up soon with college basketball, women's college basketball, men's the tournament. That's going to be exciting. Obviously, we'll talk about that. I'll want to break down our brackets at some point. Yeah. So that'll be.
You think Ohio State deserves to be in with how they finished the season?
How they finished the season, yes. I think if you look at how they finished the season with what went up to it, them firing their head coach and then bringing somebody in and then them winning all but one game with that head coach, it's kind of something you want to look at. Now, what they do in the Big Ten tournament is going to be a big deciding factor. But at the end of the day, you're looking at a team who finished 9th or 10th in the Big Ten right now in basketball at the end of the season. Yeah, they went 19-12, but it's going to be hard for me to say Ohio State deserves to be in the tournament from their whole season of play. But if you were just telling me from the past month and a half, then yes, they should be in. But unfortunately, they look at that whole entire thing. So I don't think they get in unless they make it to, I would say, either the semifinals or the finals of the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's all I have for today. So, again, you go enjoy your work, enjoy some flag football, put up some numbers, and I will talk to you later.
You know what?
I always do.
Yo,
all right.
Listen up.
See ya.
Let me introduce to you the highlight taking podcast. We bring the heat. Is true. Hosted by David Nick and Christian. That's a crew.
Well, I was trying to. We're trying to maybe get McCaffrey. Not McCaffrey. McAfee. Sorry.
Analyzing every play like we were the champion. With witty banter and humor, we keep it fun. HTP fam, we always bring the number one. Highlight taking podcast. We taking over the scene. We drop dubs and chugs. Living the sports dream. From hot takes to deep dive, it's a winning regime. Come join the hype. We're not just blowing steam.